So if you think about a limited edition, right, you're thinking about two different aspects, right? Either a yearly, one that's marking a year, like the My Father that I gave you on our first run, right? That was a My Father from 2010, right? I gave it to you in 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right? So that had already 4 years. That cigar, they don't make that cigar again in 2011. That's 2010. It says it on the back, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very niche limited. It means that they had one type of tobacco as far as like the composition for this run. They knew how many boxes they were going to make. Those boxes are numbered sometimes, and that's it. That run is over. It's gone. It's like a wine vintage for said year, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, got you.
Okay, but in a limited production, it means is that they could only produce set amount per year, right? So some years they can produce 30 boxes, some years they can produce 3 boxes, right? And then some years it can produce 300 boxes, depending on
That's
how
what I'm
the
saying.
aging.
Like,
But it's the aging, bro. You're aging tobacco this whole time, right?
yeah,
So
so I'm
like,
saying like you might like with a limited, or like you said with the 2010,
there it is.
that's yeah. But
You
then
dig what I'm saying? So
sometimes,
like,
yeah.
what I'm saying.
But what if you wanted the cigar and that year they only made 30 boxes and you just wasn't on the list? So now you got to wait next go run and you still might miss out. So some of
Yeah,
these
that
things like it feels a little bit more rare
yes,
depending
but it
on
still
what the aging
exists.
is. Yeah. But
That's
it's
the
still, I see
key.
what you're saying. You're saying there's no more 2010s similar to like specific bottles of wine where they're just like, okay, got you.
Yeah, bro,
Okay,
because
like that
again,
was a
like
good year. And that
correct,
year, yeah,
correct. And then now the idea is
understood.
simple, right? Like let's say I'll give you an example. On the secondary market, you have people that sell things that are rare and that are, sought after and you can't find on the market. You know what I'm saying? Um, Things happen, licensing's there's a lot of variables that play in a role of why things change, right? But when it comes to a year's limited edition, right? If there
Yeah,
were only 500 boxes made and 20 years later, there's only 5 boxes around kicking around the world, the value of that is going to go up, right? Especially if
yeah,
they're well maintained. So that's the difference between something that's limited production and limited edition. Where if you find yourself in a place where, let's say, a Liga Privada would be a good example. Now, let's use Foundation since we're talking about Foundation. Senator. Senator is one of those cigars that they have that's like an Opus X. It comes out once a year. They do a release of what they have in stock. Again, that could mean 20 boxes. That could mean 200 boxes, depending on what the criteria of aging these specific leaves are. So after if the aging for the if the criteria is that it has to be aged for 7 years in the filler, then that's the criteria. If you're at year 6 with some of the stuff, then you have to wait for year 7. You dig what I'm saying? So that's the part where you're growing a lot of the same crops, but each year is going to give you a different yield. It's going to give you a different abundance of one thing over the other because
yeah,
nature's like that. More rain. Again, same wine analogies, right? But again, 20 years from now, it could still be available, right? Where the value of it is still going to maintain, but there's not going to be that, whoa, there's only going to be ever these 5 boxes,
yeah.
ever. You dig what I'm saying?
You know,
Unless that factory finds a stash, which happens too.